Ladies and gentlemen, Channel Awesome proudly brings to you a review of the second film featuring the musical adventures of the Master Blues Band of Joliet Jake and Elwood Blues, the Blues Brothers. And now, your reviewer, the buster of bad movies, the destroyer of DVDs, the slayer of silly cinema, the Blockbuster Buster! Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. I'm E-Rod, and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. Allow me to take you back to the 80s. Our heroes were noble, our villains were frightening, and our entertainers were not cool. They were super cool. In the late 70s, legendary comedians Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi found a common bond through their hatred of disco and the general music scene of the era. So instead of whining about it, they decided to put their own rhythm and blues band together and teach us children of the 80s what truly great music was all about. They assembled some of the greatest musicians in the business, like Paul Schaefer, Matt Guitar Murphy, and Mr. Fabulous, just to name a few. And to keep their TV and music careers separate, Aykroyd and Belushi adopted alter egos when playing with the band, Joliet Jake and Elwood Blues, the Blues Brothers. The band became a cult hit thanks to a few successful appearances on Saturday Night Live. And eventually, a film was made, written by Aykroyd himself and directed by superstar director John Landis. The Blues Brothers movie remains one of the greatest and by far most unique films ever made, combining the comedy genius of Belushi and Aykroyd, music by some of the greatest rhythm and blues performers of all time, and some of the most spectacular car stunts you will ever see. Yes, I highly recommend the original Blues Brothers movie. That movie gets 10 points on the badassitude meter. But then, came the sequel. The sequel that never should have been. Why? Because in 1982, John Belushi tragically died, and as far as the fans were concerned, any prospect of a sequel should have died with him. Unfortunately, Aykroyd continued making appearances with the band, along with John's brother James Belushi as Brother Z Blues, and John Goodman as Mighty Mac Blues in the plays of Joliet Jake. As the years passed, Aykroyd tried time and time again to revive the Blues Brothers in another medium. An animated series was the most confounding of all of these attempts. Finally, in the late 90s, it was announced that the notorious Jake-less sequel was on its way. Now, most of us optimistic fans thought to ourselves, hey, it might have a different flavor, but it's still Blues Brothers, right? Our optimism was quickly shattered with the announcement that James Belushi wasn't going to be part of the movie due to a scheduling conflict with his sitcom, according to Jim. This was followed by one report after the other of studio interference and director John Landis' displeasure with the production. And then there's the other thing. While we all can agree that Dan Aykroyd is awesome, hell, he's one of my personal heroes. He created Blues Brothers and Ghostbusters. However, he doesn't have the best success rate when it comes to writing sequels. After all, Ghostbusters 2 is a shameful rehashing of Ghostbusters 1. With all that said, let's venture forward. I have a bad movie in the DVD player, a hammer in hand, I'm indoors, and I'm wearing sunglasses. Hit it! So our movie begins the exact same way as the original movie. Danny boy, this is already looking bad. Only this time, instead of Jake being released from jail, it is Elwood who is checking out. He takes his place in front of the prison and he waits. And he waits. And he waits. And he... What is he waiting on?
Is that Elwood Blues?
Yes, sir. Released yesterday.
Did you tell him about Jake?
No, sir. I thought you told him.
I'm sorry.
Oh my Are you serious? This is how they chose to start this fast-paced musical comedy? This is horrifyingly depressing. His brother died and nobody told him? And how come all these other people knew? It's bad enough that we lost one of the greatest comedians of all time while he was still technically at the beginning of his career. But to be reminded in such a blunt fashion, it's just jarring, off-putting, and depressing.
Nice thinking, Ray.
Eventually, Elwood's former drummer, Willie Hall, sends a stripper to go pick him up. Classy. And like in the original movie, one of the first things that the Blues Brothers do when they get out of jail is see the Penguin. While the scene in the original movie was very slapstick, funny, and dynamic, in this movie the scene is just a cavalcade of endless exposition.
He was very upset when the orphanage closed.
Wait, the orphanage is closed? The orphanage that Jake and Elwood spent the entire first movie trying to save is closed. Excuse me.
Damn!
Where is Curtis?
Curtis has gone on as well, Elwood. I'm sorry.
Curtis was the closest thing to a dad that Jake and I ever had.
Thank you for reminding me that Cab Calloway died. Hadn't quite gotten over you reminding me that John Belushi died. You remember when these movies were comedies? The Penguin further exposits that Curtis had an illegitimate son named Cable Chamberlain, and tells Elwood not to seek out Cable. Then why did you tell Elwood about him? And last but not least, she introduces him to an orphan named Buster, and tells Elwood to mentor him. Wait, what? First of all, the Penguin didn't even trust the Blues Brothers to raise the money to save the orphanage. Why would she trust him with a little kid? Secondly, she just handed a child to a convicted felon. Who does that? And thirdly, you've known Elwood all his life. He's always getting into trouble. What would make her think that Elwood's gonna start following her instructions now? Ow, damn Penguin. So of course Elwood does the complete opposite of what the Penguin asked, and takes Buster to go meet Cable. So get this, Elwood Blues, one of the smoothest con men and outlaws in all of fiction, walks into a policeman's office, reveals to him that he is a bastard, then asks him to give up police work to join his band, and then finally asks him for $500 to buy a new Bluesmobile. Cable, of course, responds in the most appropriate manner.
And don't ever come back here again!
Interestingly enough, that is the most logical moment in this movie. But as it turns out, Buster lifted Cable's wallet, and Elwood uses the money to buy a new Bluesmobile.
Like a glove?
Wait, hold on. How come he hasn't returned Buster back to the orphanage? He took him to a strip club? He took a 10-year-old to a strip club! So, 30 minutes into the original movie, we had already seen an awesome car chase and a song and dance number with the Godfather of Soul, James Brown. Here, lots of talking, indecent exposure to a minor, and depressing reminders of dead celebrities. Honestly, all this movie does is make you wish you were watching the original movie.
It's been almost 7 days, Mother Mary. We must call the police. Think of poor Buster. Kidnapping is a federal offense.
I suppose you're right. We should call the police.
Oh, so you want the negligent imbecile that put the child's care in the hands of a criminal to be punished. Yeah, 'cause that was you! You were the one that did that, you stupid little... Ow! Stupid penguin! So Elwood ends up working as a singer at the strip club. 'Cause strip clubs need singers. There, he meets and sometimes sings with the bartender, Mac. When suddenly, he notices that Russian gangsters are collecting protection money from Willie. So Elwood takes it upon himself to fix the situation by getting the Russians drunk and then dumping them in an alley in their underwear. Wait, that's it? You really think that that is going to stop them? Oh well, Elwood is a criminal, so if anybody knows how to deal with Russian mobsters, he would. So I'm just gonna trust... Never mind.
Time to go.
Alright, time for a kick-ass car chase. That's it? Why am I shocked?
The Lord works in mysterious ways, Mac.
What do you mean, Elwood?
Since the Russians torched Willie's club, he'll need a job. You'll need a job. I'll need a job. So, you'll join the band, and we'll all have jobs.
That's not the Lord working in mysterious ways. God didn't burn down the strip club. The Russian mob did because you fuck with them. And also, how is putting the band back together going to help all of the strip club employees that are now unemployed? I swear, you are dumber than the nun. Ow, that is pissing me off! So Mac and Buster suit up in order to go reassemble the missing members of the band. Just like in the original movie. And guess what? They go to get Matt Guitar Murphy and Blue Lou Marini first. And of course, just like in the first movie, Matt's wife, played by the First Lady of Soul, Aretha Franklin, is not happy that Matt is rejoining the band. Ugh, so many scenes are repeated! This is beyond sequelitis. It's like someone punched a hole in the fabric of space and created a time skip. And the events of the first film are spontaneously repeating themselves. Ugh, this is depressing. Miss Franklin, can you please drive my blues away?
Hey, what you want? Baby, I got it. What you need? You know I got it. All I'm asking is for that ass back when you get home. Hey, baby, when you get home, say hi. To give me my breakfast when you move in now. That's when you get home. Just a little bit. Do it for me now, yeah. To the ESP-ECT, and I want the things to me. To the ESP-ECT, take it to see. I don't want much. Oh, baby. Wherever I go. All over the world, I demand respect. Yes, I do. It's an everyday thing. Say it is. Wherever I go, all over the world, I need respect. Yes, I do. I demand respect. Oh, yeah. Listen, Matt, you ain't all of that, cat. And Elwood, you ain't no good.
I love that woman. So it's the same old shit. They go around finding and recruiting the missing band members. Only this time there's no mission, no orphanage to save, nothing. They're just going around causing random mayhem for no good reason, which kills any kind of urgency or emotional investment from the audience. And because there are not enough moments from the first movie in this film, their first gig turns out to be a mistake. But just for variety's sake, this time around, the Blues Brothers have to pretend to be a bluegrass band instead of a country western band. Oh, it's totally different.
cowpoke went riding out one dark and windy day. Upon a ridge he rested as he went along his way. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw plowing through the ragged sky.
What the?
And ghost riders in the sky.
Better late than never.
Their eyes were blurred and shirts all soaked with sweat. They're riding hard to catch that herd, but they ain't caught 'em yet.
'Cause they got to ride forever in that range up in the sky.
On horses snorting fire. Ghost riders in the sky.
Yes, there were fantastic moments in the original, but the Blues Brothers were on a mission from God.
We're on a mission from God.
We're on a mission from God. We're on a mission from God. We're on a mission from God.
So it is implied that the improbable moments are due to divine intervention. Here, there's nothing. Random insanity just continues to occur.
Like a glove?
I mean, could it possibly get more random?
This is my God-given destiny!
Now that was some straight-up David Copperfield shit.
Did anybody just see him fly through the roof and magically change clothes? What? Nobody? Really? Could we at least get a cool car chase?
Don't look back.
Look out!
Let's just get to the climax of the movie. So now that Cable is part of the band, seriously, nobody saw him fly through the... Oh, never mind. So there's the Battle of the Bands. Yeah, there's a Battle of the Bands now. Wish they would have built that up a little bit more throughout the movie. But before they are allowed to compete, they must audition for Queen Musette, played by the very lovely and very talented Erykah Badu.
Where are your instruments?
Well, ma'am, you see, there was this kind of a...
Never mind.
Wait, she's an actual witch with actual paranormal abilities? Did Dan Aykroyd forget what movie he was writing?
Who you gonna call? Someone else. Is there anything in particular you would like to hear this evening, Your Highness?
Yes. Do something Caribbean.
Ma'am, we're the Blues Brothers. We do blues, rhythm and blues, jazz, funk, soul. We can handle rock, pop, country, heavy metal, fusion, hip-hop, rap, Motown, operetta, show tunes. In fact, we've even been called upon on occasion to do a polka. However, Caribbean is a type of music, I regret to say, which has not been, is simply not, nor will ever be a part of this band's repertoire.
Yeah, the Blues Brothers don't do Caribbean music.
Nassau's gone funky. Nassau's gone soul. We got a dog on beat now. We're gonna call our very own. Nassau's gone funky. got soul. And we got a doggone beat now. We're gonna take care of business too.
Don't stop singing. It's funky. It's funky. See, that's what I'm talking about now. That's funky.
Thank you.
We're in, Elwood. Let's get out of here. Al? Mac? Cab?
Wait, the Blues are still frozen? Why?
The Blues Brothers Show Band!
Has not been, is not, nor will ever be a part of this band's repertoire.
Oh, I get it. This moment is a metaphor for how times change, but R&B music remains frozen in time until an audience is ready for its rhythmic tunes once more. Or it's just a random pointless moment to go along with all the other random pointless moments. The Battle of the Bands itself is pretty uneventful. They play opposite to another band comprised of some of the greatest musicians of all time. Then the audience votes and they lose. That's right, the Blues Brothers go through all of that and they lose. Now that is the perfect metaphor for the quality of this movie. Oh no, it's the Russians! Figures. So the police show up to arrest Elwood for kidnapping Buster and... Wait, it's okay. Buster can just go up to the police and let him know that Elwood didn't kidnap him.
You guys stay here and distract him. I'll kidnap Elwood.
Guys, you don't have to run. Buster can just explain things to the police and they will drop the... Oh, never mind. So they run away with every police officer on the planet chasing after them. The end. This movie is just a complete, utter disappointment. The original movie is non-stop excitement, music, and humor, while this one is just repeated moments, corny jokes, random insanity, complete with a lackluster conclusion. I love Dan Aykroyd, but I'm glad the Blues Brothers have stayed away from the silver screen since 1998. Cause it is obvious that the magic died with the original movie, and this one must be busted. Ugh, I can't do it. I love the Blues Brothers way too much. Dan Aykroyd got me into this. Dan Aykroyd will get me out. What the hell? Why does it look like an inflatable pool toy? Does this thing even work? Oh! Holy shit! Alright, Ray. See you on the other side. Yeah! Ray Parker Jr. was right. Busting makes me feel good. So that was one busted, thousands more to go. I'm Erod, and I'm the Blockbuster Buster.